So we see a lot of online trend these days talking about self-care and use of different skincare products and different wellness products that will help you feel better. The younger generations are experiencing higher levels of burnout and in a higher need of wellness products. And in fact, over 84% of US consumers say that wellness is a top priority. It's 79% for UK and even more so for China, which is almost 94% of people that are prioritizing their wellness. But do these self-care products that we see online really work? And that's something I want to talk about today with Marcus O'Shea, who is a BACP registered therapist and a counselor. And my first question to you is, when does self-care stop working? Like, sometimes I find myself getting a slice of a cake and I end up just eating more and more cake, or I feel like having a nice slice of cake is an act of self-care, but then I end up buying pizzas every night and it becomes a vicious cycle and end up just feeling unproductive. Or I end up buying a lot of like skincare products, even though I have plenty of them, and I feel myself wanting more and more and more. And I end up not getting things I want to get done.
Yeah.
So what would be your advice on when self-care does work and when it doesn't work?
Yeah. Well, I think the basics of self-care, they make a lot of sense, and it's very simple. We're feeling down, or tired, or stressed, or anxious, and we want to do something that makes ourselves feel better.
Mm-hmm.
The problem can be a couple of different things. The first is that this kind of consumerist self-care that's marketed a lot on social media,
Yeah.
online, through ads, through influencers, a lot of that is about obtaining things. It's about kind of, buying a new product. And the thing is that our liking and our wanting systems neurologically aren't necessarily linked with each other. Kind of addiction is a great example of that. People who are experiencing addiction really crave something, but they don't often like it, especially by the time things get bad. So when we're going out and buying things because they were recommended to us and we were told that they would make us feel happy, often what happens is we're just engaging our wanting system without actually engaging our liking system. And the evidence shows, in fact, that when you're given money, basically, and you try to make yourself happier by purchasing things, it doesn't seem to work. Some people get a small temporary boost of happiness, but it then often just goes right back down. A lot of people actually end up feeling less happy after they purchase something. There's forms of self-care, however, that are more helpful. For example, some of the basic ones. Making sure that you get enough physical activity, going for a nice long walk, getting out in nature. Those are all really good. Making sure that, you're looking after your body in general, that you're getting your rest, that you're looking after your hygiene, that you're looking after, eating a kind of balanced, healthy diet. Those are all excellent forms of baseline self-care. But when you get into a cycle like the one you were describing, that's a lot of wanting and not a lot of liking.
Yeah, I don't really like some of the cakes and pizzas I have that much, to be honest with you. So you're right about that. Yeah, it's not about liking. Yeah.
I've definitely gone through a pizza in the past and just sort of like realized that I was barely tasting it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's true. But I think adding to what he said, I know, exercise and really helps. And in fact, the past few weeks, I've been trying to get back to working out again. And even though I know that's a good form of self-care, I struggle a lot to find time in doing that. It becomes a vicious cycle. So I have a pizza at night, I've had a long day from work, and next morning I just don't feel like getting up and working out again. And I used to work out 5 days a week, and it feels really daunting to start it back up again. So for people that want to get back to the self-care habits or want to make those changes, what would you suggest would work? Because it's easy to know what's good for you, I think, like you said with the addiction thing, I'm sure people that drink alcohol know it's not good for them. But it's really difficult to make that shift into picking up on those habits. So, what do you think really works for people when they have to make those kind of changes?
Hmm. I think one of the most excellent ways is to kind of lower the bar.
Hmm.
Don't overcomplicate things. When we're wanting to get into a good habit, often people kind of apply a very different set of rules than they do with uh, less helpful habits, let's
Yeah.
say. Most people don't get into, say, smoking by waking up one day and saying, I'm going to smoke an entire carton of cigarettes. Rather, they do it once, the situation, the effect of the cigarette, they find that rewarding, and then the habit builds up from there. The same thing actually applies to more healthy habits. So, if we want to get into exercise and we've gotten kind of out of it,
Yeah.
then we want to start with something small. We don't want to say, tomorrow I'm going to wake up, I'm going to work out 5 days a week. I'm going to, go on a 5 mile run every day. It might work for David Goggins, but for most people it doesn't. Rather, what you want to do is say, okay, well, at the moment, maybe I've only been getting in 3,000 steps a day. I've been having quite a sedentary time. Maybe there's a project at work. Maybe I've just been struggling. Let's up that.
Yeah.
Let's go for a nice brisk walk, get in 5 to 7,000 steps, build up from there, and then maybe once I've gotten into the habit of getting some good brisk walks in, can start running
Hmm.
or throw in a little bit of strength exercise, but you don't have to do like the full routine to start with. Small steps will make it easier to start, make it feel more like you have succeeded more often, and that feeling of having done something, planned to do something, done something, and succeeded at it based on the goal that you set is actually a really good reinforcer of a self care habit.
Hmm.
So if to go back to that previous example, if I tell myself I'm going to work out 5 days a week and run 5 miles every day, and then I
Yeah.
fail to do that, I feel like I failed, so I don't do it again. If I tell myself I'm going to walk an extra 1,000, 2,000 steps a day, and I do that, then every single day I do that, that feels like a success. That's rewarding. That reinforces it.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that working for me. But adding to what you said, I think there's one more thing that I really struggle with beyond all of this, because I think one of the points maybe we didn't touch on is social interaction and community. I do a lot of volunteer work and I see so much value in getting out of your own head and helping someone else and meeting people. But it wasn't like that. So when I first moved to Edinburgh, I really struggled to make friends and meet people. It was a very isolating experience, but I felt so comfortable being on my own that I never felt the need to kind of go out, and I kind of convinced myself I was really happy alone. Um, and it became kind of a huge cycle into getting here to now being able to meet more people. I see value in social connection, and I think as much as like, because I see online like self-care trends are all about being okay alone and just spending time alone and canceling all those meetups, and it's okay to not show up, it's okay to say no, and there's value in that. But at the same time I feel like there's a lot of care that comes from interacting with other people. It introduces you to new ideas, but it's a block that I see that happens a lot. And I wonder if you had suggestions on someone that finds themselves in the same space that I'm in a new city, not knowing anyone, and still feel like they need to isolate, or people that want to date people. I've been single for a long time and really struggle to put themselves out there because relationship is a form of self care, right? So, what is your kind of advice on that?
Yeah, I think that leads into also a very interesting and helpful and overlooked point and form of self care, which is that in the research, as I said before, spending money on sort of a treat for yourself, some new product, doesn't seem to actually boost happiness. But what does is spending time, money, care on other people, particularly other people that are important to us. So, you know, making, or even baking a gift for a friend, volunteering for your local community group or church or some other group like a charity, um, just helping people out around your neighborhood or helping out family members or other people close to you. All of these have been shown repeatedly in studies and across different cultures to lastingly boost people's happiness and to be a really effective form of self care. The problem comes, of course, if we've spent a while in isolation, just like trying to get back into exercising
Yeah.
after a while on the couch. It can feel intimidating. It can feel like we're really pushing our comfort zone. And I think, in the same way as with exercise, you can start small. Start with small things. Maybe go to one event or reach out to a friend you really miss and do something nice for them. These can all be helpful ways to kind of push your comfort zone out a little, because there's a little model I like to use sometimes, which is kind of three concentric circles. So in the center, you've got your comfort zone. Outside of that, in a ring around it, you've got kind of the discomfort and the growth zone.
Yeah.
And then outside of that is the kind of risk and danger zone, or sometimes the dangers of being overwhelmed rather than a more physical danger, but still, feels a bit much.
Mm-hmm.
If we just stay in our comfort zone, as you notice, if you stay on the couch or if you don't talk to people for a while, your comfort zone shrinks. Things that were previously comfortable to do become uncomfortable. So what we want to do is spend some time resting in the comfort zone. Everyone needs rest. But we also want to make regular forays into things that make us a little bit uncomfortable in, safe ways. Just like, talking to a new person or going to a new event or trying a new activity or just walking a little further and getting a little bit out of breath. And what that does is pushes out the boundaries of our comfort zone until that central circle becomes a lot bigger and we're more comfortable doing more things.
Yeah, thanks. That's kind of a really helpful way of putting it through the comfort zone thing. And I feel like even just speaking about the identity thing, like being an introvert and wanting to isolate, and I've really expanded my comfort zone so much just through those baby steps. And I feel like that's really helpful, because I think when we see self-care, it becomes like an all or nothing thing, where either I'm just like this really fit, really healthy person with amazing skin and just a lot of discipline, rather than just sometimes seeing it as just making positive choices once a day and just building it from there. It seems less overwhelming. And so I think that's something I might use for my exercise, regimen. I'll just start really slow and get to a point where I really want to get. So, yeah. Any parting words that you'd have for people that you feel would be helpful?
I think if you're wanting to try some of these other forms of self-care, putting yourself out there, helping other people, or, engaging in more exercise, I think, related to what I said before, it's better to start with something small before you're entirely ready, because what will actually happen is it's easier for your brain to then adjust to that, to go, okay, I went on a little jog. Maybe I'm actually someone who likes jogging because I felt good about it, than to try and convince yourself you're someone who likes jogging and then start jogging.
Yeah, I think that's a big trap when it comes to these things, like even making these videos, it's the idea of like needing to be perfect and like waiting till things get perfect to start doing things. And I feel like sometimes it's just about starting and just acting on it instead of like just, starting to analyze things in your head. So, yeah, I think that wraps it up for us. Yeah. But I hope you guys resonate with any of the ideas that we're speaking about. But do let us know about your experiences and what's worked for you and what's not worked for you.